everyone, my name is Julia and I will be guiding you through our Vinyasa flow today. So if you would like to go ahead and get started lying flat on your back, or if you'd rather be seated, that's fine too. But if it's available, begin to roll onto your spine. You need to wiggle around a little bit while you're on your back to find a place that is comfortable for you here. That is totally fine as well. And then once you land in that comfortable position on your back, begin to just settle in. Allow the bones to grow heavy. Scan the body from head to toe, softening each muscle as you go along. Beginning to find some stillness. Beginning to tune our awareness inward and to tune our awareness towards our breath. Beginning to slide into a more mindful breath, inhaling through the nose and filling up the low belly, and then from there expanding into the rib cage and up into the chest and throat. Breathing in sort of a wave-like pattern, and then on the exhale, releasing that breath from top to bottom. So letting it go from the chest, the ribs, and then all the way to the low belly, squeezing the diaphragm in towards the spine to really get rid of any stale CO2 that gets trapped in the lungs. And in this way, we begin to create a little more space in the body. Continue to breathe in this way. If it's short and choppy at first, that's okay. It will even itself out if you trust the process. Just stay with that breath. And so we've showed up onto our mats. And for many of us, showing up is kind of the hardest part of yoga or any sort of activity. It's hard to get ourselves up and to arrive in that moment, but then it's even harder to get into a place in our mind where we're fully present in that particular situation or moment or circumstance. So right here on our backs, on our mats, begin to decide exactly how you would like to show up to this practice today. Maybe how you would like to show up to your entire day, but we'll get to that later. We'll just start by how are we going to show up to this moment? Will there be judgment, fear, any kind of biases or assumptions? Do we tend to go to that sort of place in our minds? And it's all about noticing that. So even if you're sitting there and you're thinking like, maybe, yes, I do, that's not to judge yourself for it. It's just simply to observe and notice that pattern, that habit, and so that we can begin to break that karmic cycle by choosing how we might want to react next time or choosing not to react next time. Continue to breathe. If you have Ujjayi Pranayama in your practice, that's that ocean sounding breath where we constrict the muscles in the back of the throat on the exhale to create a sound. Maybe you begin to slide into that Ujjayi breath. If that doesn't feel comfortable or natural to you, then don't worry about it. And when you're ready, begin to awaken the body. You can just wiggle the fingers and toes and maybe circle the wrists and ankles or move the head side to side. Just gentle, small movements. And then when it's available, we'll begin to draw this right knee in towards the chest. Maybe we hold on lightly to the shin and just kind of rock this leg side to side. Begin to massage into that right hip flexor. breathe into that space and send that breath to any areas of tension that you notice in the body. When you're ready, finding a place of stillness, we'll go ahead and straighten this right foot up towards the sky, straighten the right leg up towards the sky, and then go ahead and interlace the fingers behind this right thigh. And so begin to really flex through this right foot. Don't try to lock out that right knee at all. Keep a micro bend in that right knee, but flex through the foot so that this heel is pressing towards the ceiling. And then maybe you also flex the left foot as well. Keep that straight bottom leg active. And then begin to kind of press this right thigh away from your body, but at the same time begin to kind of pull it in through the hands so that we're creating this dynamic tension, this hatha, where we're pulling in opposing forces. So the hands press into the legs press into the hands. And begin to feel that energy build up. And then on your next exhale, begin to bend this right knee. Sink the right heel towards the right glute. Inhale to straighten this right leg back up towards the sky, slow and controlled. Exhale to bend the knee, drop the right heel towards the right glute. Again, slow movement. And inhale to lift it back up to straighten that right leg. Again, keeping the left leg active as well. Noticing those little details. One more round of this, you guys. Go ahead and lower the heel on an exhale. And then inhale. Begin to press the heel back up towards the sky, maintaining that dynamic tension through the hands and the leg. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and release the arms next to your sides. Let's go ahead and just bring this right knee in towards the chest. Grab onto this right knee with the left hand and then cross it over to the left side for spinal twist, bringing the right arm long into a half T, and the gaze can shift over towards the right fingertips so that we're looking over to that side, if that's okay, on our necks today. And just allow the shoulder blades to be flat against the earth. It's okay if there's a big gap between the right knee and the ground. One more breath here. And then go ahead and draw the right knee back through center. Go ahead and straighten the right leg so that the foot is pressing up towards the ceiling again. Arms are by our sides, and then exhale to slowly lower the right heel down to the earth, the legs straight, again, inch by inch. Noticing that perhaps this right leg might feel a little bit longer than the left leg now, but don't worry, we will even it all out. Begin to draw the left knee in towards the chest. You might hold on to the shin and rock a little side to side by just bringing the knee side to side. And really what we're focused on here is stretching into that hip flexor a little bit, just adding a little gentle movement there to awaken that hip flexor. And then when you're ready, we'll find a neutral position, stillness, and then go ahead and straighten the left leg, pressing the left foot towards the sky. Interlace the fingers behind that left thigh, and again we'll create that hatha, that dynamic tension where we're pressing the thigh into the hands and pressing the hands into the thigh so that it's that opposing directional force. Again, micro bend in that left knee. You don't need to lock anything out. And we'll activate both feet by flexing them. And then as you exhale, begin to bend through this left knee, lowering the left heel towards the left glute. Maintaining that dynamic tension, inhaling to lift the left foot back up towards the sky. It's okay if your foot doesn't go all the way up. It can be a little bent. And then exhale to lower the heel down towards the glute. We'll move through one more of these, inhaling to press the left foot towards the sky, and exhale to lower the left heel towards the glute. Inhale, presses the left foot up towards the sky, and then this time we'll go ahead and bring the arms by our sides, release the bind, and then bend this left knee to bring it in towards the body, and then grabbing that left knee with the right hand, crossing it over to the right side. Left arm comes long into a T, shoulder blades stay flat against the earth. Just allow gravity to do the work of pulling that left knee down to the earth. You don't need to apply any force to it. You don't need to force anything. Just let this this practice come natural, even if it looks different than me, even if it looks different than everybody else. If you're listening to your body, then that's good enough. One more breath here. And then inhale, draw the left knee back in towards the body, straighten the left leg so that the foot is pressing towards the ceiling, and then begin to slowly, inch by inch, release the left heel down to the earth, that left leg long and straight. If you're feeling that both legs are a little longer now, go ahead and plant the soles of the feet onto the mat so that the heels come towards the glutes, towards the fingertips. And then on an inhale, we'll begin to lift the hips for bridge pose. Just a gentle bridge. You don't need to go as high as you can possibly go. Go ahead and exhale to lower back onto the spine, rolling one vertebrae at a time, bringing the tailbone down last. We'll move through two more of these. Inhale, lifts the hips towards the sky. Exhale, slowly lowering back down. One more round, and this time feel free to lift the heels once we get to the top of our bridge pose so that we're on our toes, and maybe you stretch into the ankles. And exhale to slowly lower everything back down. Heels come down, hips come down. Lower back comes down. Go ahead and bring the knees in towards the chest and maybe rock a little side to side, maybe in a circular motion. Nice little back massage here. And then when you're ready, we'll begin to either rock forwards and backwards to find seated, or if there's another way that makes more sense to you, like falling to one side and pushing yourself up, then you can make your way to seated from that way as well. Arriving cross-legged, go ahead and become aligned by rooting through the sit bones and stacking the heart above the hips, the shoulders relaxed back and down. Crown of the head lifts. On an inhale, we'll circle the arms around and up to the sky, connecting the palms together at the top, and then exhaling to bring the hands through heart center, Anjali Mudra. Bow the chin here to, again, just reiterate your intention. How do you want to show up to this practice today? From what space? And what do you want to get out of it? When you're ready, go ahead and lower the hands back down to your sides. We'll inhale to circle the arms back around and up to the sky. And then as we exhale, let's just lower the right hand down to the earth. Take a nice side bend, very gently, lifting through the left fingertips. And then on an inhale, go ahead and lift the right hand back up towards the sky, reaching through center. Exhale, lowers the left hand down to the earth and extends through that right side body all the way up through the right fingertips. Gaze follows up the fingertips. And on an inhale, go ahead and lift the left hand back up to the sky through center. And as we exhale, circling the arms back down to our sides, begin to roll the shoulders back so that they come up and then down and back. Just making these circles, and we'll switch sides when you're ready. So begin to roll the shoulders forward and down. And then from here, once you feel evened out, let's go ahead and make our way to hands and knees, a position of all fours. Stacking the shoulders above the wrists, the hips above the knees, and move into some cat-cows. So with every inhale, we lift the chin, open up the heart, lift the tailbone. With every exhale, begin to round the spine, curl the chin to chest, and lift the mid back, tuck the tailbone underneath. And then you can just feel free to move with the pace of your own breath. However fast or slow that breath allows you to go. And so the breath is our guide. I'm here to just hold space for you all. But your body and your breath are ultimately your greatest teachers throughout this physical asana practice. And even through the parts of the yoga practice that aren't physical. Because I find that when we do the asana, the poses, we automatically will find benefits from that. But when we go to sort of train the mind, it can be a bit more stubborn, it can be a bit more challenging. And so we have to spend a little extra time focusing on that and really noticing our self-talk, where it comes from, and beginning to change it so that we can have a more positive experience with any experience, right? I mean, we don't get to decide what our experiences are, but we do get to decide what we will do with them, right? Are you going to write a book about it? Are you going to reflect on it, take something from it, learn from it, or are you just going to let it go, right? And I mean, all of those can be great options. It just depends. When you're ready, come back to a neutral spine. Let's go ahead and separate the knees. Bring the big toes together to touch, and then allow the chest to melt down through the space between the knees. You can rest the forehead down to the mat as well. Maybe move the head side to side to massage into that third eye space. And so the sixth chakra, the third eye, is our inner guide, our inner teacher, our intuition, and our wisdom. So begin to just apply a little pressure there to sort of tap into that kind of space. Allow it to guide you through this experience. And you know, you have to trust it too, or else it doesn't work. Know that you can always come back to child's pose at any time during our practice if ever you need to return to your breath, take a step back. If it becomes too much, this is where you go to kind of reset. When you're ready, let's come back to hands and knees, a position of all fours, stacking shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. Go ahead and just press the right foot behind you so that the right toes are curled underneath, and we're extending back through the right heel. And then just begin to kind of rock forwards and backwards here. Just beginning to stretch into that right ankle. And then when you're ready, finding stillness, we'll go ahead and lift the right foot so that the heel is about in line with the hip. And you might even take a look back at those toes. Make sure that the right toes are pointing down towards the earth. So you might need to adjust the hips in order to find that alignment. And then on your next exhale, let's cross the right leg over towards the left edge of the mat and just tap the right toes down. And so we're moving in sort of a diagonal way, because when we move throughout our day, it tends to not be as linear as it is on the mat, right? And so we want to prepare for when we're off the mat. Inhale to bring this right heel back in line with the right hip. And then as we exhale this time, lowering the right toes off of the edge of the right side of the mat. Again, a sort of diagonal. And we'll do this a few more times. Inhaling to bring the heel in line with the hip through center. Exhale to cross the right toes over towards the left edge of the mat. Inhale through center. And exhale to drop the toes over towards the right side. One more round of this, you guys. Inhale brings the heel back through center. Exhale taps the toes down off the left edge of the mat. Inhale through center. Exhale, lowering the toes and tapping them down towards the right edge of the mat. Inhaling back through center. And this time, let's go ahead and bend this right knee so that the right heel is pressing towards the ceiling. Make sure the right foot is flexed. And then we'll go ahead and begin to just gently pulse. Slowly and controlled, feeling the fire in the glutes. And maintaining that mindful breath. Feel the core, feel the belly button, hug the spine to keep the core nice and strong. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and curl the right knee in towards the nose. Begin to make the shape of a cat pose with the back. And so the chin hugs the chest, knee comes towards the nose. We lift the right foot towards the right glute. Belly button hugs the spine. Breathing here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and lower that right knee back down underneath the right hip. And let's take the knees wider again. And lower back into child's pose just to give the wrists a break. And so this time in child's pose, maybe you bring the hands into a prayer position behind the head. And this just stretches into the triceps. Again, tapping back into that third eye space, listening to our body and listening to our breath. When you're ready, go ahead and make your way back to hands and knees. You'll probably have to scoot your knees inwards a little bit so that they're underneath the hips. And then from here, we'll go ahead and press the left foot behind us so that the toes are curled under. And again, just start by rocking forwards and backwards to find a little buoyancy and to stretch into that left ankle. And any creaks and cracks out as well. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and lift this left heel to become in line with the left hip. Again, you may want to take a look back at the left toes, make sure that they're pointed down towards the earth, making sure that the left foot is flexed, strong through the core. And then on an exhale, we'll go ahead and cross the left toes over towards the right side of the mat. Again, moving in a sort of diagonal direction. Inhale, draws the heel back through center. Exhale, lowers the toes down towards the left edge of the mat. And your gaze can just be on the mat here so that the neck stays neutral and long. There's no creases in the back of the neck. Inhale, bringing the heel back through center. Exhale, dips the left toes down towards the right edge of the mat. Inhale, lifts the heel through center. And exhale, lowers the left toes towards the left edge of the mat. Let's do one more round on each side. Inhale, center. Exhale, tap the toes down towards the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, taps the toes down towards the left. Inhale through center. This time we bend the left knee. Make sure that the left foot is flexed still and it's pressing towards the ceiling. And then begin to gently just pulse up and down. Maybe it's just a really small movement, just an inch. Just notice how this little movement can create such a huge difference in how it can create so much sensation in the body. It's a reminder that little things can have great impacts and that the little things matter. On your next exhale, go ahead and curl the left knee in towards the nose, kind of point the left toes, chin to chest, lifting the left heel towards the left glute, tightening everything into this little ball, lifting the mid back. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and just lower the left knee down underneath the left hip for hands and knees. And from here, tucking the toes, lifting the hips for downward facing dog. Go ahead and just walk out your dog here, pressing one heel down to the mat at a time and allowing the chest to melt towards the thighs. Take any other movements that feel good here. Kind of explore this shape. And always check back into the mind, into the body, into the breath. Knowing that when we check in, we're not necessarily judging or evaluating or assessing. We're just kind of checking in. That's it. We're just noticing and observing. When you're ready, start to walk the feet towards the hands, getting to a forward fold at the top of the mat. Go ahead and lift halfway for a flattish back when we arrive, lengthening into that spine, and then exhale to fold back in, perhaps a little deeper. Releasing the weight of the head and the neck, and maybe nodding yes and no with that head and neck. Allowing this upper body to just drape over into this inversion. And then when you're ready, activating the legs by pressing down through the four corners of the feet, lifting the arches of the feet. And so what I mean by that is we press through the balls of the feet underneath the pinky toe, and then two spots in the heels. So really press down into those spaces, activate the legs, bend through the knees, and inhale to circle the arms around and up to the sky and get big in mountain pose, Tadasana. Connect the palms together at the top, and then exhale to bring the hands through heart center. And every time we bring our hands to heart center, let's reconnect to our intention. And so decide, how will I show up to this moment? And you know, you'll have many chances to answer that question, so it can change as we go along today. Lowering the hands next to our sides, fingertips reach down to the earth. Inhale to circle the arms back around and up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold, wash it away, let it all go. As we inhale, lifting halfway for a flattish back, shoulder blades pinch together. Exhale to plant the hands. Step walker, jump the feet back to plank pose, top of a push-up. Now, some of you may decide to keep the knees lowered down. You may do it lowered and lifted another time. You can change your mind as we go along as well. And so listen to your body. Where do you need to be in this moment? And then as we exhale, bending the elbows to lower through chaturanga. Some of you might lower all the way onto the belly. And then as you inhale, you'll just lift through the chest, work on strengthening the back muscles, keeping the neck nice and long for cobra. Or some of you might decide to come onto the hands and the tops of the feet to lift all the way up through upward facing dog. One pose is not better than the other. You will listen to your body and decide what is a better option for you today in this exact moment. And then from there, we'll send the hips up and back for either downward facing dog, or maybe you decide to come back to that child's pose that we did before. And those two poses are interchangeable. They are both resting poses that we come back to over and over again to check back in, to find stillness, and to just breathe, to just be. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be in this moment and let that be enough. So take like 3 breaths here, and then we'll continue to move through our sun salutations. When you're ready, bend the knees, look between the hands, make your way to forward fold at the top of the mat. Halfway lift when you arrive. Exhale to fold back in a little deeper, even if you're just imagining that it's deeper. Inhale, root to rise, sweep the arms around and up to the sky, get big through mountain pose. And then as you exhale, bring the hands through heart center, decide, how will I show up to this moment? Hands come back down to our sides. Inhale, lifts the arms back around and up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold, wash it all away. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step walker, jump the feet back, plank pose, top of a push-up, lower through chaturanga. Inhale, opens the heart for upward dog or cobra. And exhale, presses back to either downward facing dog or child's pose. Take 3 to 5 breaths there. Allow the breaths to be full and complete. Focus on that sensation of expanding and creating space through the body. When you're ready, bend the knees, look between the hands, find your way to forward fold at the top of the mat. Halfway lift when you get there, all in one inhale. Exhale to sink back in. Inhale, root to rise, sweep the arms around and up to the sky. And exhale, hands come through heart center. Check back in, reconnect. How will I show up to this moment? Hands come through our sides. Inhale, lifts back around and up. And exhale, forward fold. Lets it all go. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step walker, jump the feet back, and move through that vinyasa, lowering through chaturanga. Lifting the heart on an inhale. And exhaling for your resting pose. We'll take a few breaths in this resting pose. Find a bit of stillness. Notice your self-talk. Notice any sort of assumptions. And maybe even begin to investigate just a little bit. But don't hold hold on to it. You can always come back and check back in later. No need to dwell or become forceful or focused. When you're ready, go ahead and lower the knees down to the mat. Coming back to hands and knees, a position of all fours. And from here, let's go ahead and lift the right heel in line with the right hip. Strong and pressing up and out of the wrists here. And then as we exhale, drawing the right knee in towards the nose, chin to chest, pointing through the right toes. Inhale to extend the right leg long, neck is long as well, gaze is on the mat. Exhale, drawing the right knee in towards the nose, curling everything in. Inhale to extend the right leg long, pressing back through the right heel, foot is flexed. And then as we exhale, pointing the toes, chin to chest, knee to nose, go ahead and curl the left toes underneath here and begin to press up into three-legged dog. The right leg is extended towards the sky just as high as it's available. And then if it feels okay in your body today to bend the right knee and to stack the hips to twist open, you can, but don't feel like you have to take that option. It's not a requirement. It's just a fun thing that you can do that may or may not feel good in your body. And so when you're ready, inhale to straighten the right leg to square off the hips. And then as we exhale, we'll draw this right knee in towards the nose, shift our weight towards our hands, kind of spinal wave forward, and then step the right foot all the way through between the hands towards the top of the mat. Pivot and plant the left foot. And adjust your stance as you need to on an inhale, rising all the way up to Warrior One, Virabhadrasana 1. And so really lunging into this right knee to begin with, pressing down through the outer edge of that left foot. Left hip draws forward, right hip draws back, chest is lifted, shoulders back and down. Maybe the palms connect. Maybe that's too much on our shoulders, and so we back off a little bit. All right? Take a breath here. Feel the shape of this pose. And then as we exhale, bring the hands behind you. And so some of you might decide to grab for opposite elbows, maybe opposite wrists, or maybe you even go for a prayer position behind the back so that the palms begin to connect. And then from here, as we inhale, straighten the right leg. Again, we don't need to lock out the knee or anything like that. Keep just a soft micro bend there. On an exhale, begin to hinge at the hips and fold over this right leg. We'll take 3 breaths here just to see how far the breath will take us. Inhaling to lift a few inches and exhaling to fold back in. Inhaling to lift a little bit, lengthen into the spine, and then exhale to sink back in. One more inhale, lengthen, and exhale to lower. When you're ready, rising all the way back up to standing here. Release the hands to your sides and then inhale to circle the arms up towards the sky. On an exhale, surrounding the right foot with the hands, low lunge, pivot onto the ball of that left foot. Planting the left hand down, go ahead and inhale to lift through this right elbow and then peel open, reaching through the right fingertips towards the sky for dragonfly twist. Keeping most of our weight here in that right foot, shoulder blades stacking above one another. And then on an exhale, go ahead and lower this right hand down to the earth, planting it and then stepping the right foot back to meet the left for plank pose. And then maybe we go through our vinyasa flow here, lowering through chaturanga. Inhaling to open the heart for up dog or cobra, and then exhaling to send the hips back to either down dog or child's. And so I'll give you a lot of options to take vinyasas, that flow of those 3 poses, but know that you don't always have to take them. They're there to keep stoking our inner fire, to keep us warm, but they are not always necessary, okay? Go ahead and begin to lower the knees down to the earth for a position of all fours, hands and knees. Inhale to lift the left leg behind you, flexing the left foot, heels in line with the hip. And then as we exhale, go ahead and draw the left knee in towards the nose, chin to chest. Inhale to extend the left leg behind us. Exhale, knee to nose, curling, chin to chest. Inhale to extend the left foot back behind us, neck is long. Exhale, drawing the left knee in towards the nose, pointing the left toes, chin to chest. Go ahead and curl the right toes underneath, and inhale to lift the left foot up towards the sky for three-legged dog. If it feels good in your body here to exhale, bend the knees, stack the hips, and twist open, you can. Inhale to straighten the left leg, squaring off the hips. Exhale, draws the left knee in towards the nose, shifting our weight forward, and then stepping the left foot all the way between the hands. Pivot and plant the right foot. Inhale, rises up, warrior one. Virabhadrasana one. Adjust your stance however you need to. If you need to shorten it to make it less intense, you can just step that back foot forward. If you need it to be more intense, you'll step it back, but you may realize as we go along that you want to adjust it again, and that is fine. All right. When you're ready, let's go ahead and straighten this left leg. Bring the hands back behind us. Choose your grip. Opposite elbows, opposite wrists, or prayer hands behind the back. Once you decide, inhale here to lengthen the spine, and exhale to fold over this left leg. Keep a micro bend in that left knee. 3 breaths. Inhales, lift and lengthen. Exhale, sink back in, and just see how far the breath will take you. Not to be a sort of competition or anything like that, but just to see out of a place of curiosity and wonder. And just to learn something new about ourselves. And just to notice where the mind goes. On an inhale, rise all the way back up, bending back into that left knee, circling the arms up on an inhale. Exhale, surrounding this left foot with the hands, pivot onto the ball of the right foot, plant the right hand down, and then on an inhale, lifting through that left elbow as we twist open, left fingertips reach up to the sky, opening up the heart for dragonfly twist. And then as we exhale, begin to lower this right hand back down to the earth, stepping the left foot back to meet the right for plank pose, and then option to flow through that vinyasa. When you're ready, bend the knees, look between the hands, step, walker, jump the feet through to forward fold. Halfway lift on an inhale. Exhale to sink back in. Inhale, root to rise, sweep the arms around and up. And exhale, hands through heart center, reconnect. Hands come down to our sides. Inhale, circles the arms back around and up. And exhale, forward fold, let it go. This time, let's separate the feet, just kind of heel toe them out towards the edges of the mat. And then from here, we'll begin to sink the hips down. Coming into yogi squat. So I'll turn so I'm facing you. So the feet are about mats width apart. And we sink the hips down to the earth. You can place a pillow or something like that underneath you to sit on for support if you don't want to focus as much on balance and you want to focus more on flexibility. That would be an option. But then the elbows are used here to kind of open up the knees a little further. And so the hands kind of squeeze together, the shoulders are back and down, spine is long. We'll take a few breaths here. Again, what assumptions do you have about yogi squat? Where does the mind go? Is there judgment? And how can we show up differently? Or do we want to show up differently? Is also a good question. One more breath here. This is a sort of resting pose. Any pose can be a resting pose if you allow it to be, actually. Anyway, go ahead and begin to lift the hips up towards the sky, coming into a semi-wide-legged forward fold, so the feet are still as wide as the mat. On an inhale, let's lift the right hand up towards the sky, peeling open the heart. You may sway the hips to the right or bend into the left knee a little bit. Gazes up at the fingertips. Exhale, lowers the right hand back down. Just switch sides. Left hand reaches up to the sky. Again, the hips might sway towards the left. Heart is open. Gazes up at the fingertips. And then as we exhale, go ahead and lower that left hand back down towards the mat. It's okay if your hands don't completely touch, or if you need to bend your knees, that's fine. All right, go ahead and begin to shimmy the feet back together for regular forward fold. And then just step the feet back to plank. If you want to move through your vinyasa, you can. You can lower through chaturanga, or you can just skip it and return to hands and knees, a position of all fours. And that is where we will meet. That is where we will arrive. From here, pressing the right foot behind us, toes pressed down to the earth. The right foot is flexed, heel in line with the hip. Exhale, drawing the right knee in towards the chest. Also drawing the chin towards the chest. Inhale, extending the right leg long behind us. Exhale, drawing the right knee in towards the nose, chin to chest. Inhale, extends the right leg long behind us. Neck is long. And then exhale, drawing knee to nose, chin to chest. This time curling the left toes under. Inhaling to lift the right leg up for three-legged dog. As we exhale, bending this right knee, stacking the hips to twist open, if that feels good. And then inhaling to straighten the legs, square off the hips. The hips come next to one another, side by side. Exhale, draws the right knee in towards the nose, shifting our weight towards our hands, and then stepping the right foot all the way through. Low lunge, pivot and plant the left foot. Inhale, warrior one, rising all the way up. Exhale, straighten the right knee, bring the hands behind you. Take a grip that feels good here to stretch into the shoulders. Inhale to lengthen the spine. And exhale, forward fold. 3 more breaths. Inhaling, lifting and lengthening the spine. Exhaling to fold back in. See how far the nose will travel down the leg. It's okay if it's not very far. 2 more breaths. As we inhale, go ahead and rise all the way up to standing. Use your core, press down through the feet, and then release the grip of the arms. We'll lift the hands around and up to the sky, and then exhale to surround this right foot with the hands. Low lunge, go into the ball of that left foot, and as we inhale, begin to dial the heart open, lift through that right elbow to twist through the waist for dragonfly twist. Right fingertips reaching up towards the sky, the shoulders stacking above one another. And then I'm going to give you a couple options here. Some of you might decide to lower this right hand down to the earth, coming back to this low lunge position. And then inhale to lift the left foot. You might walk the hands forward a little bit. Some of you might decide to keep this right arm lifted and then to lift this left foot, maybe walk the left hand forward for a twisted balancing half moon pose. All right, some of you might be at this point, and then maybe you consider lifting this right arm. Maybe you try it and you fall down and it's just not in your practice today. There's no use in forcing something if it doesn't feel good for you in your practice, or if it's gonna make you feel frustrated, you know? There's no use in that, so then just don't do it, okay? So your options are either here for half moon if that feels good and you like it. If you hate it, then your right hand is down here, okay? One pose is not better than the other. Your friends will still love you. You'll still have a home to come back to, regardless of whether you're in half moon or not. Okay, let go of judgments. So again, whether or not you have the right arm lifted, we'll go ahead and draw this left knee towards the back of the right knee on an exhale. Maybe we bend into this right knee a little deeper to create a sort of shelf for this left knee. And so we're in a twisted curtsy lunge. Inhale to straighten this left leg, straighten the right leg. Exhale to draw the left knee towards the back of the right knee. Again, both of your hands may be planted here, and it still works either way, believe me or not. Inhale to extend this left foot behind us. And exhale to draw the left knee towards the back of the right knee. Inhale to extend this left foot behind us. And now this time, if your right hand is lifted, go ahead and lower it so that both hands are on the mat. And then from here, go ahead and lower this left leg to the right side of the right foot so that the pinky toes are next to one another. The pinky toes are somewhat connected, so the legs are crossed. On an inhale, lift and lengthen the spine. And then as we exhale, fold in a little deeper. We'll hang out here for a couple breaths. Again, softening into the face, maybe moving the head side to side. Of course, it's totally fine if your hands don't reach the mat. You can be lifted a little bit, or you might even decide to bring, if you have blocks, or if you don't have blocks, you might use a pillow or books or something like that underneath the hands if you need to stay a little more lifted. Okay? Know that there are always options for you, always variations. Sometimes it just takes a little more exploration to find what works for you. And that exploration is always worth it. It's always worth it to learn more about yourself and your body and who you are, and how those things kind of interrelate and change with every experience. When you're ready, you guys, begin to lift this left leg back behind you, planting the hands. And on an exhale, go ahead and lower the left foot in line with the right foot so that we're in a regular forward fold. Inhaling, halfway lift to lengthen into that spine. And then exhaling to fold back into it. And from here, go ahead and just begin to lower the hips down towards the heels. So it's kind of a toe squat, all right? And so like before, we had the legs wide, this time the knees are together. And then maybe we begin to bring the hands to heart center and just balance here on the heels. Feel stretch in the ankles. Take a few breaths here. This is our resting pose. Maybe try closing your eyes and see how that changes the pose. When you're ready, lowering the hands back down to the mat if they're not already there. Raising the hips up towards the sky. Plant the hands, step walker, jump the feet back to plank pose. You can move through your vinyasa if that calls to you. If it doesn't, then you'll just go back to downward dog, and then eventually we'll all meet in hands and knees, a position of all fours. From here, left foot presses back behind us. Left foot is flexed, neck is long. Inhale. And then on an exhale, drawing the left knee towards the nose, curling the spine, lifting the mid back, drawing the chin to the chest. Inhale. Neck is long, leg is long. Exhale, curl everything in. Inhale, extend, become long. And then exhale, drawing everything in. This time, curl the right toes under, inhale. Lift the left leg for three-legged dog. As we next exhale, you can bend the knees, stack the hips, and twist open if that feels good. And then inhale to square off the hips, straighten the left leg. Exhale, drawing the left knee towards the nose, shifting our weight forward, planting the left foot between the hands, pivot and plant the right foot. Inhale, rise all the way up, warrior one. Exhale, straighten the left leg, bring the hands behind your back, take whatever grip or bind that feels good in this moment. And then inhale to lengthen the spine, get tall here. Exhale, forward fold, pyramid pose. 3 breaths. Right hip draws forward, left hip draws back, micro bend in the left knee. If you need to adjust your stance, you can step the right foot forward a little bit, or even back a little bit. Always listening to your body. Maybe before you were able to go deeper, but now something has changed and you want to go less deep, right? With each pose, each experience, we are a different version of ourselves, and so we must adhere to that most current, most authentic version of ourselves. When you're ready, inhale, rising up. Bending back into that left knee, circle the arms towards the sky. And exhale to surround the left foot surround the left foot with the hands. Planting the right hand down, inhale to lift the left elbow. Begin to peel the heart open, twisting. Dragonfly twist, left fingertips reaching up towards the sky. And then again, we have options. Some of you will lower this left hand back down and then lift the right leg and then consider lifting the left arm back up again, or keep it down. Some of you will keep the left hand lifted, maybe move this right hand forward a bit, and then just pick up this right foot behind us. Your leg might not be as high as mine is. Some of you will have this leg maybe even an inch above the mat. And either way, you're doing your best. That's good enough. You are good enough. Inhale here, wherever, in whatever version you're in. And then exhale to draw this right knee to the back of the left knee. Curtsy, twisting lunge. Inhale. Straighten the right leg. Exhale, draw the right knee towards the back of the left knee. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, draw it in, bending the knees. Inhale to straighten this right leg. Lowering this left hand down to the earth if it's not already there. And then on an exhale, lowering the right foot to the left side of the left foot, so that the pinky toes connect, the legs are crossed. Right leg is behind the left leg. Inhale to bring length into the spine. And then exhale to fold back in, just as far as it's available. Again, you may consider using some sort of prop underneath the hands for support. We'll hang out here a few breaths to become even on this side as we were on the other side. Releasing the head and the neck. Finding our breath. When you're ready, planting the hands down. Go ahead and inhale the right leg, lifting the heel in line with the hip or as high as it's available. Exhale to lower the right foot in line with the left foot for forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold back in. Let's go ahead and heel toe the feet about mats width apart again. And then begin to sink the hips down. We'll go into a regular yogi squat. We've been here before. Using the elbows to open up the knees if that's available, or you can take the other version of the squat that we did with the feet together, and both are fine. Both are great options. None of that, if that's not an option at all, is fine too. Listen to your body. Breathe. You might bring the hands behind you, begin to just sink onto your seat, lowering into a seated position. Just bring the legs long in front of you. Maybe bring the flesh away from the sit bone so you can stay rooted here. Activate the feet by flexing the feet. And inhale to circle the arms up towards the sky. Exhale to fold forward. Take a few sinking breaths here. Inhales to lift and lengthen. Exhales to sink back in. Know that it's not about how far you can reach, you can touch your toes or not, or how deep you can go. It's just about folding forward, because every time we fold forward like this in a seated position, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It activates that system in the body that tells us you are safe, you are okay. And that's what it's about. You might even begin to let the head and neck release down, using just the weight of the head to bring us deeper into the pose naturally. not forcefully. And the spine might begin to round a little bit after a little bit. And then on an inhale, go ahead and lift back up to seated. And then we'll lower onto the back again. So you might scooch the hips forward and lower onto the forearms at first. Actually, let's stop with us on the forearms. And so planting the hands, the palms down, begin to kind of just roll the heart open and let the head hang back. This is fish pose, or a version of fish pose. And just kind of stretch into this front body. And then from there, come back through a neutral spine, and then we'll lower all the way onto our backs. Bringing the feet onto the mat. Go ahead and cross the right ankle above the left knee. For figure four. And then maybe we begin to draw this left knee in towards the body, interlacing the fingers behind the left leg, or maybe even in front of the left shin. And if you have it on the thigh, you might even consider straightening this left leg, playing around with that movement and exploring this pose. We might rock a little side to side even, feeling where our lower back connects down to the earth. Feeling a stretch in this right hip flexor. Just being present and allowing ourselves to enjoy the sensations. Breathing. Staying with the experience. It's yours. Every time you feel disempowered, remember that it is still your experience. You will still get to decide what to do with it. Even if you can't choose how other people react or what other people do or what experiences you do have, you still get to decide what you'll do with those experiences. When you're ready, let's begin to bring the arms wide into a T. Now some of you may decide to uncross the legs at this point, or some of you might decide to keep them in the position that they're in and just allow the knees to fall over towards the left side for spinal twist. And so if your legs are still in this supine figure four position, really consider opening this right knee up towards the left foot. If it becomes too uncomfortable or you feel any sharp shooting pain, then you may consider coming out of the pose and just resting the knees above one another, okay? And then on an inhale, go ahead and draw the knees back through center, uncross the legs. Go ahead and switch sides so that the left ankle comes above the right knee, and then we can draw the knee in towards the chest. Again, we might hold on to the shin or the back of the thigh. The right leg might be straight, it might be bent, and we might rock side to side, just kind of feeling that stretch in that left hip flexor. Inviting any organic movement. Breathing. Finding a neutral, still spot, bring the arms wide into a T and either uncross the legs and bring the knees together, or keep the legs the way that they are and just allow this left foot to plant against the earth, and then open this left knee towards the right foot. And then the gaze can look over the left fingertips. Breathing into this twist. draw the knees back through center, uncross the legs if they aren't already. Take any last poses that you might need to in order to make your practice feel complete. And if your practice already is complete, then just take rest, all right? Take Shavasana. Bring the legs long against the mat, arms by our sides. Just rest the body down to the earth. And you guys, please don't skip Shavasana. This is important, arguably the most important pose of our practice. I had a yoga instructor say before that skipping Shavasana would be exactly like working a 40-hour week and then burning your paycheck at the end. Because this is where all of the payoff happens. This is where we reflect. This is where the real changes begin to happen. And so I'd invite you to take this time today in Shavasana to just decide how you want to show up to the rest of your day, how you want to show up to the rest of your week even, or maybe just how you want to show up for the next couple hours. And cultivate that space within, whether it is a place of compassion, comfort, patience, whatever you need. As long as it comes from a place of truth and non-violence, non-excess. If you can test it against the yamas, the ethical principles, then we're good. Allow the bones to get heavy and just breathe. Be with the experience. To awaken the body, bring some gentle movement back in, wiggling fingers and toes and moving the wrists and the ankles, moving the head side to side. And then when you're ready, we'll draw the knees into the chest, rocking a little side to side, giving ourselves a hug. And then we'll begin to make our way to a seated position in any way that makes sense to you. Rooting down through the sit bones and sitting up nice and tall, shoulders back and down, crown of the head lifts. Inhale to circle the arms around and up to the sky. Connecting the palms together at the top and then exhaling the hands through heart center. Bowing the chin in gratitude. The light that shines in me bows to the light that shines in all of you. And where those lights meet is where we find connection, and that connection is the meaning of the word yoga. Thank you for sharing this practice with me today. Namaste.